For the first time in memory, true dawn broke over Neverland. Not the endless frozen twilight, but a soft golden morning, alive and breathing. Mist curled through the valleys like a gentle sigh, and the river shimmered, reflecting real sunlight, not just old magic. Deep within the forest, a faint glow began to pulse, steady and warm, like a recovering heartbeat. Wendy stood at the cliff's edge. The lost boys gathered around her, Tinker Bell a tiny, anxious star on her shoulder. They all stared toward that distant light. "It's him," Wendy whispered, her voice filled with fragile hope. Tinker Bell managed a soft smile, her chimes a quiet affirmation. "It's Peter." They followed the trail of light deep into the woods, their footsteps hushed. The path led them to a small, sacred clearing where the grass sparkled as if coated in dew-covered glass. And there, at its center, lay Peter. He was asleep, surrounded by a faint, fading golden dust. His wings of light were gone. For the very first time, he looked truly peaceful, not like a boy caught between worlds, but simply a boy. Wendy knelt beside him, the sight bringing tears to her eyes. She reached out, her hand hovering over his still form. "Wake up," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Please, Peter, wake up." Tinker Bell fluttered down to land gently on his chest, her own light flickering with a storm of emotions. "The heart of the North Star," she chimed, her voice soft and heavy with the weight of their journey. "It burned itself out to save him. He's only alive because Neverland still remembers his story." A new resolve settled over Wendy. She took Peter's hand, its warmth a fragile anchor. "Then we'll just have to remind it louder." She closed her eyes and began to hum, a simple, sweet melody. It was the same tune she used to lull her brothers to sleep, a song woven from love and home and bedtime stories. One by one, the lost boys joined in. Their soft clapping became a gentle rhythm, their hesitant laughter weaving through the trees like a new kind of magic, and Neverland responded. The ancient trees began to sway, not in the wind, but with the music. The rivers shimmered brighter, the light dancing on their surface. The very air grew thick with belief. And then, a small miracle, Peter's chest rose with a slow, deliberate breath. And then again. His eyelids fluttered, and when they opened, they glowed with a faint residual gold. He looked around, dazed, taking in the circle of hopeful faces. Did I miss the ending?" he asked, his voice rough. Wendy laughed, a sound that was half sob, half pure joy. "Oh, Peter," she said, squeezing his hand. "You are the ending." In the days that followed, Neverland bloomed. It was a renaissance, a rebirth. The fairies returned from their hiding places, their wings dusting the trees with new seeds of starlight. In lagoons, the mermaids sang, their melodies clear and joyful, no longer warped by the curse. Even the sky felt different, a vast, brilliant blue, filled with clouds that drifted lazily, shaped like forgotten dreams and new adventures. Peter walked among the lost boys. He couldn't fly anymore, but his smile was wider and more genuine than Wendy had ever seen it. He wasn't a myth or a legend. He was their friend, their brother. They showed him the new villages they were building, intricate tree houses connected by swaying rope bridges, and gardens that glowed with a blend of magic and moonlight. "This feels different," Wendy said one afternoon, watching a group of fairies teach a lost boy how to nurture a glowing moon petal. "It's not just dreams anymore." Peter, standing beside her, nodded. "That's because it's real now. Neverland isn't just a place for those who refuse to grow up. It's for anyone who remembers how to believe." Tinker Bell perched on his shoulders always, trying to thoughtful question. "So, what happens now?" Peter looked out at the horizon, at the endless sea meeting the endless sky. A slow, thoughtful smile touched his lips. "Now, we let the stories change." That evening, the stars gathered in the sky once more, but this time they were pure white, clean and bright. No crimson stain, no desperate gold, just serene, perfect light. At the edge of the cliffs, the Lost Boys built a roaring bonfire, and everyone came. Fairies descended in glittering swarms, mermaids surfaced near the shore to listen, and even the shy forest spirits, hidden for so long, emerged from the woods, their forms like shimmering heat. Wendy stood beside Peter, the warmth of the fire on her face. "It's strange," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper against the crackling flames. "When I first came here, all I wanted was to stay forever. I never wanted to go home. But now I think I understand why I have to." Peter looked at her, and for a moment, a familiar sadness flickered in his eyes, a shadow of the boy who feared goodbyes. "You've grown up, Wendy Darling." She smiled, a small, knowing smile. "A little?" He chuckled, the sound lighter than she'd ever heard it. "Then maybe I can too." Just enough to say goodbye properly. A warm wind rose from the sea, carrying glowing petals from the forest and sweeping them across the sky like a farewell confetti. Peter stepped toward the very edge of the cliff and turned to face the crowd of faces illuminated by the fire. "Neverland will always need someone to believe," he said, his voice carrying over the crowd. "But that doesn't mean you have to stay forever. It just means you have to remember." He opened his hand. Floating in his palm was the last spark of the heart of the North Star, a tiny, impossibly warm ember of pure magic. He held it out to Wendy. "This is yours now. Keep it safe. In your stories." Wendy took it, her fingers closing carefully around the precious light. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked, her heart aching. Peter's smile was kind and utterly reassuring. "Only every time you close your eyes and refuse to stop dreaming." He then looked to Tinker Bell, who was hovering beside him, her tiny form trembling, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Ready, Tink?" She nodded, a single resolute chime of farewell. Together, they stepped off the cliff. And for one last, breathtaking moment, Peter Pan flew. The wind caught him, not with the power of starlight, but with the love of Neverland itself, lifting him high toward the waiting stars. His laughter, free and joyous, echoed across the sky. Below, the Lost Boys cheered, a wild, beautiful sound of love and release. Wendy watched, her hand over her heart where the star spark now rested, smiling through her tears as he soared higher and higher. As he disappeared into the tapestry of the dawn, his voice whispered faintly on the wind, a promise carried to all who would listen. Second star to the right, then straight on till morning. Years passed. In a quiet London nursery, warmed by a gentle fire, an older Wendy sat by an open window. She was telling a bedtime story to her daughter, a little girl with sleepy eyes and a head full of dreams. Outside, the stars in the London sky seemed to shine brighter than ever. And so Wendy finished softly, tucking the blankets around her child. The boy who would never grow up taught the world how to keep on dreaming. Her daughter yawned, a contented, sleepy smile on her face. "Do you think he's still out there, Mommy?" Wendy gazed out the window, at the second star to the right, a familiar twinkle in her own eyes. "Oh, I think so," she said, her voice full of a secret, wonderful certainty. "I think he never really left." And as her words hung in the quiet air, the view drifted up, through the window, past the rooftops of London, past the soft, drifting clouds. And there, against the bright, full face of the moon, a shadow soared. A faint, familiar laugh echoed in the distance, a sound of eternal youth, endless adventure, and a story that never, ever truly ends. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what comes next. Until then, keep dreaming.